Hello again, I'm Rodney Reynolds and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the Antec TP-750 750 watt power supply. What's included with this power supply is a product overview, and remember you can download a manual at antec.com/manuals. Also included are the modular leads, power cord, and 4 screws for mounting the power supply in the case. This is the new line of TP or TruePower power supplies, and they are currently available in 3 wattages: 550, 650, and 750. I'll be reviewing the 750 watt model. Now, how is this wattage determined? Well, to understand that, you need to know what rails are. Rails are basically well-regulated transformers which convert domestic current into the voltages that your computer system can use, and there are essentially 2 different rails, the 3.3/5 volt rail and a 12 volt rail. In this particular case, the approximate maximum peak output of the 3.3/5 volt rail is 170 watts and the 12 volt is 744 watts, which is essentially how the wattage of this power supply is determined. The 3.3/5 volt rail is responsible for the motherboard, memory, PCI cards, and so on, while the 12 volt rail is responsible for the hard drives, optical drives, fans, CPU video cards, etc. Also, some might be interested to know the peak amps on each rail. Well, the plus 3.3 volt and the plus 5 volt rails are both 25 amps each, and there are 4 plus 12 volt rails, and they are 25 amps each. But note that the maximum load for the plus 12 volt rails is 62 amps. There are a number of important things to remember when selecting a power supply. The first is wattage. Determine how much wattage you are going to require by the amount of hardware you will be installing. Generally speaking, a medium to high-end gaming rig would require a 500 to 700 watt power supply. For a hardcore system, select a power supply that's around 800 watts. If, however, you are building an extreme gaming rig with a top-of-the-line multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware, select a power supply that's 1000 watts or greater. Second, it should be at or above 80% efficient at typical load. The efficiency of this power supply is rated above 82% at max load. Third, it should meet the latest ATX and other current standards, environmental directives over voltage, under voltage, and other protections. This power supply meets all current standards. Fourth, I'd recommend choosing a power supply that has APFC. APFC, or active power factor correction, assists the power supply in being more efficient and therefore stable under load. APFC basically reduces total harmonics, corrects input voltage, and it allows for full input voltage range. Thankfully, this power supply has APFC. Fifth, there are 3 main certifications: 80+, NVIDIA SLI, and ATI Crossfire. Many of today's high-end power supplies meet one or more of these certifications. This power supply meets the 80+ bronze and NVIDIA SLI certifications. Sixth, look for a power supply that uses Japanese capacitors. This ensures a much more reliable product than a power supply with low-grade capacitors. Thankfully, this power supply uses Japanese capacitors. Finally, get a power supply that has enough leads for your setup. Also consider a power supply that has a modular design because it reduces the cable mess inside the case. Let's have a closer look at this power supply. It has a not so much black but more of a gray finish, and the housing is steel. They include an ultra-quiet pulse width modulation 120mm fan, so the hotter the inside of the power supply gets, the faster the fan spins. The 120mm fan and the ventilation ensures maximum cooling, so the power supply should remain cool in almost any environment. Here's the power cord connection and the power switch. This power supply has lots of leads, but many of them are hardwired into the power supply and cannot be removed. But there are a few modular leads, which is great because that means that you only need to use the leads required for your particular setup, and this frees up space inside the case and therefore increases airflow. Finally, have a listen to the 120mm fan. Many people select 750 watt power supplies, and there's no wonder because it's a perfect wattage for a medium to high-end gaming rig. Now, this power supply has pretty much everything that you're going to need in a 750 watt power supply. So if you're wondering what 750 watt power supply to get, this one might be for you, because remember, it's backed by Antec, has quality components, a nice 120 millimeter fan that's extremely quiet, and it has a modular design, but I wish more of the leads were modular. But overall, this is a kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.